When the game takes a bit to load and I think about my life for 20 seconds. And this happens quite a bit. You have good opportunity to reflect and see how your life is going and see whether you like where you are in your life. It's just part of the whole experience of living. But games, they take away a lot of that stress. Absolutely true. This meme, 10 out of 10, absolutely have done that multiple times. But then I think about the game that I'm about to be playing and yeah, I don't focus on much else besides that. There are some good things to having ADHD, you know. It's makes it very quick to move on from certain thought processes towards ones that are a little bit more fun. Anyway, just a thought. Me just trying to complete the game's main quest, random NPC. I have several quests. Yeah, they do this a lot in video games, don't they? Where you're sitting there playing the main game and you're just trying to move on with the game. Sometimes, I don't mind doing side quests as long as they're interesting, but a lot of NPCs don't have very interesting side quests. And so you sit there and you do their side quest and you all that, and then they have something else, and then something else, and then something else. I like games like, in Link's Awakening, where you have kind of like that fetch quest, but the fetch goes throughout the entire game and eventually leads you back to kind of the beginning. And like that, those type of quests are interesting because they help you move forward as well as give you additional content. But such is life. I really like the way Horizon Zero Dawn did it, where the quests actually gave you more lore. They gave you more of the background as what was happening and the mystery of the whole thing. I really liked that. When people talking about all the new games coming out, I have $3. Yeah, I mean, games are expensive, but especially new games. But you don't have to buy new games all the time. There are so many older games that are on sale that are so good. I mean, Hollow Knight that I've just started playing was like on sale when I bought it for like $12. Like, it really wasn't that bad. Like, honestly, you can get some really awesome games, have a great time for $3. You don't need the new games. The new games will eventually go down in price. And if they're good games, then people will still be playing them if you like doing the multiple multiplayer online whatever experience. I don't do much of that, but there's no reason that having $3 should ever stop you from being able to play games that you like. Them. How do you know so much about Street Fighter? Me. I was there. Me on the side. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you were one of the developers, sure, then you would have been actually there. I don't think that Street Fighter was quite... I think it was a little bit older than I was, so not by much, but I think it was just a tad bit older than I was. I'd have to see exactly when it came out, because if it came out during Super Nintendo, then I was definitely older than it. But if it came out slightly anywhere before then maybe it's slightly older than I am. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, those of us who grew up as millennials living through the latter part of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, we were kind of there for the history of a lot of the gaming franchises that became popular. We're kind of the reasons why it continued to grow the way that it did. So yeah, you're welcome. When you start losing the game, so you just leave. I'm going to do what's called a pro gamer move. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do stuff like that, and that is not the way to go about playing video games. If you're doing online multiplayer games, people are going to be better than you. Yes, there's no way that you are going to be the top. Even if you are the number one player, there are other players that are competing with you for that spot who will get good enough to displace you at some point or another. And you can sit there and think all you want that no, you're going to keep your throne forever, but there is always going to be somebody coming along that is better than you, or you're just going to wind up leaving and getting worse at the game. So don't sit there and quit just because you're losing. Learn to do it better and learn to get better. Nobody deserves to win a game. They earn it. So earn your win. Just don't sit there and quit out every time that you start falling behind. It's just, why would you even play the game at that point? Me starts playing a ranked match. My ping, terrible. My Wi-Fi disappears. My parents, dinner's ready! My opponent, strong as anything. Yeah, I know, right? Oh my goodness, this isn't... So it's not just playing ranked matches that's the problem. It is literally every game that I play. Suddenly, when I start playing it, everything starts happening around me. Like, there is no escape. There is no way to get beyond what you're doing because everything starts happening. Everybody needs you. They're starting to ping you on your work. They're starting to call you from downstairs. The kids banging on the door. The wife saying dinner's ready. Just suddenly walking in the room. My goodness, like there is no way to ever get a good amount of quiet gaming time. It's just impossible. Just don't know how to do it. Are you winning, Dad? Negative 18,506. Yep, and that's kind of how us dads look when we're not doing something that we love or something that is particularly successful. It is what it is. You know, as you grow older, you learn that you just don't always win. Life isn't a game where you can just grind for a few hours and get really good. No, you've literally, it is everything piled against you. And especially if you're playing the stock market, like don't play the stock market. It's not like there's any particular super benefit for most of us. Like, it is just a lot of chance. And I know this because I used to do some of the day trading and stuff like that, and I didn't really do it a whole lot. I didn't invest a whole lot into it, but I got pretty good in their projections. Like, they gave you this little platform where you could pretend that you had money to invest and see what you would have won and all that. And I did pretty good in it, but I never really got the urge to actually make that something that I did. It's just not fun. It's just not interesting. You spend your life glued to it and can't do anything else. But yeah, life will take you down. You got to do what you can to pay your bills. When you're playing on 900 plus ping, yeah, don't play games if your internet is slow or that it doesn't have a good, solid, stable connection. You just wind up ruining the experience for a lot of people, and yourself, you don't have a good time. Like, it's one of those key points of playing online games is that your latency should not be over 900 milliseconds. It should be somewhere around, 60 if you want to be playing and have any semblance of actual real-time gameplay. Anything above that, then you just get too many problems. The server's not meant to handle a super long period of time of like 900, not milliseconds, microseconds or whatnot. It's just, you're not going to have a good time. Score 101, level 0, lines 0. Well, that escalated quickly. Yes, I never do Tetris. Tetris is one of those games that it's not that it's boring because it isn't hard, because it does get hard. It's just boring because it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I get it completely that a lot of games are like that, but they have the semblance of variety through a lot of different distractive measures. Such as, Hollow Knight, yeah, all you're doing is swinging the sword over and over again with different things in front of you. But there are different things in front of you. There are different ways to handle the timing and stuff like that. And yeah, the Tetris it never struck me as being interesting enough for me to devote any sort of time to it. There are other people that love it and love to play it. And I remember one time I was helping this woman that I accidentally erased her Tetrasphere game file or whatnot. And she said that it took her months to get there, but within about 4 hours, I was at the exact same level that she had left off on. So anyway, yeah, so it's not anything like that. It's just boring to me. Just really not very interesting gameplay at all. Watches you murder 15 people in the street. Happily sells you a hot dog. Yeah, GTA NPCs for the win. Yep, they know that if they don't sell you your hot dog, then they're in the same bucket. So it's definitely more of a self-preservation method than anything else. But hey, I've never really played those games, so I wouldn't know exactly all about that. I do know that there are a lot of NPCs where you can do some really wild things in front of them. They really don't seem to care, which is how we all should live our lives. Be like these NPCs. Just mind your own business. Not when it comes to stuff like shooting people. I mean, obviously report that. But when it comes to minding your own business, then mind your own business as much as possible. That's your PSA for today. When you're level 1 and have to wear any armor you can get. Okay, first off, this is the goodest of boys. Okay? This dog is adorable. Absolutely adorable. And number 2, that is accurate. You can't be choosy when you're level 1. You have to sit there and not have matching armor, matching outfits. Some games are nice enough to allow you to change the aesthetics of your outfits without changing the abilities, but those are few and far between. I think the most recent that I played with that was Hogwarts Legacy, and they allowed you to change the visual appearance of whatever you were wearing without changing the quality or the stats behind it. But yeah, when you're a level 1, you just kind of have to. You can't be choosy. Beggars can't be choosers. So wear what you can, survive as long as possible, unless you're me, in which armor is just a hindrance and you get good. When life gives you lemons, make lemonades. Yep, that's a famous quote from Cave Johnson, I think. I'm pretty sure Cave Johnson is the one who said that, especially because you see the Aperture Labs logo, so Portal. The Portal Laboratories or Half-Life, I think you see some of the Aperture Labs in Half-Life. That game is awesome. Portal just became pretty iconic, didn't it? It was such a great game. So much fun for such a simple concept. Like, you wouldn't think that such a simple concept of just putting portals here and there would actually be as fun as it was, but I think that they got the perfect level design to make it as interesting as possible. And GLaDOS, just with her witty commentary and all that, it just was an all-around great game. One really that has high replayability. Every open world game summed up in one sentence. Quest? I'm already on a quest. Yeah, pretty much. I don't see anything wrong with this particular meme. It is true that every open world game, you find NPCs here and there, all of them want you to do something for them. That's why you have your whole quest manager screen and all that. It is kind of annoying. Like, especially because in a lot of open world games nowadays, a lot of these quests don't do anything for you. Like, they give you subpar weapons, subpar skills or abilities, or just the rewards for these types of quests really aren't worth the amount of time and effort you put onto them, making them not fun at all. Like I said before with Horizon Zero Dawn, like, the quests actually build on the lore and they give you really good things, like weapon upgrades and stuff like that. And there are stuff to be said for quests that give you upgrades to things or upgrade materials for things. But to sit there and just give you like additional money, which you can pretty much find anywhere or sell anything to get, it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of them are more boring than I believe what the developers intended. When you're an introvert, but also an extrovert, go out with friends or stay home. Yeah, well, with me, that's not so much the case. I am an introvert and I will always be an introvert. I would much rather 100% of the time push that stay home button because I don't want to go out. I don't really have that many friends, so I don't worry about going out with those friends. But, I mean, in the end, there is stuff to be said for socializing. I'm not at all denying the importance of socializing in regular life. It's just some of us really don't care for that aspect. We have the things that we enjoy doing, and having to sit there and do things that we don't really enjoy, such as socializing or anything, really doesn't help us at all. And you're not going to convince us that it's good for us to do. It's something that just comes from us. We realize that we need to do something different. So, anyway, game developers be like RPG. Sprinkle in a little bit of hunger. Now it's a survival RPG. Oh my goodness. This is probably one of the most accurate memes I've ever seen. You sit there and just because you sprinkle in a little bit of survival aspects doesn't mean that you've made a really great game. Like, those survival aspects should play a good key part of the gameplay in general. So when you're sitting there and making your game and you want it to be survival RPG, that's great. Survival RPGs are awesome. But don't just make it so that you only have to manage one resource and then consider it a survival RPG. Because that's not exactly... I mean, you're only doing one thing. Like, I don't understand how that qualifies. But that's just me. I mean, just a personal opinion. When you beat the boss with 1 HP and get the legendary loot. Who's laughing now? I got my hat. Yeah, I remember this episode of Family Guy where him and Chris are fighting it out, and Mikey gets his head smashed between 2 giant logs for a hat. Anyway, but yeah, nope, that happens to me more often than I care to admit. Where you just beat the boss by the skin of your teeth. Yeah, no, you get better as you go on. If you really like the game and you play it more often, like more than once, the likelihood that you're just barely going to beat a boss becomes almost non-existent. So it's just something that you get better at and continue on. But yep, this is exactly how it feels when you beat the game and you get your loot, but just barely got there. Me watching a 2-hour-long video game analysis. Fine and dandy. Me watching a 5-minute pre-recorded video from my teacher. Horrified. Yes, this does happen a lot because playing or watching a video game analysis is interesting to you. Watching, learning and stuff like that is not as interesting. The thing is that us as people, we tend to handle things better when it is interesting to us. You take me and programming. To me, programming is fantastic. It's my favorite thing ever, outside of video games. And it's like I can sit there and I can watch hours and hours and hours of how to program this, that, or the other thing and be absolutely entranced and enjoying it the whole way. Whereas my brother, who is not so programmatically inclined, he sits there and after about 2 minutes, he's like, oh man, I can't continue watching this. It's too boring. Yeah, we watch what we like, and it doesn't really matter what it is. You'll find something that you like that other people find boring, and you'll be able to watch the 2-hour-long analysis or how-tos or whatnot and not feel any different. Did you know the cheetah can stay 8 hours at the same position? Gamers, are you kidding me? That's insultingly low. Yeah, right? Sometimes you can spend literally 15, 16 hours in the same position, besides the occasional bathroom break. But yeah, no, once a game is interesting and you're doing really well and having a lot of fun, then those hours fly by. You don't even know where they went. They just keep going. They don't stop. But Yeah, it's like that Weird Al song, you know, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. And that's kind of how gaming goes. The hours you spend just playing and you have no idea where they went, but it's good. I mean, it's relaxing, and sometimes when you have the time for it and you're not like dodging responsibilities or stuff like that, it's good to be able to relax. Some people do it by watching sports and games and movies on TV, and other people do it by playing video games. It's just a matter of preference. I never thought I'd fight side by side with a PlayStation. What about side by side with a friend? I could do that. PC Master Race. Yeah, I know. This is one of those console wars memes where like PC is just attacking the console users and whatnot. See, how you avoid this is you just get them all. I mean, I have a very powerful PC that I use to play and record things. I also have the PlayStation 5. I also have the Xbox most recent iteration, but that's more what my wife plays than myself. And like, I have the Nintendo Switch, I have everything. So you avoid this problem by getting everything all at once.